Without any further ado, our host this morning is an African black woman. She is a mother and a wife from Khase Kukune. She is a co-director of a wellness and after-hours medical center in Embalenhle, practicing part-time as a medical doctor, running a women and child clinic with a track record of 100% HIV-negative children who are born from HIV-positive mothers. Dr. Petla completed her MBA in 2013 from Regenesis Business School, and she is also the CEO of the Heaven and Earth Group. She is a passionate thought leader, a teacher, and a speaker on holistic health through personal leadership in our African context. The founder of JEI Youth Foundation, mentoring and coaching to high school students and teachers with future prospects of funding for well-performing students' academia. She is the author of her newly released book, Heaven on Earth Through My Grandfather's Life, an entrepreneur, mentor, and legend. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure and honor to introduce to you the woman behind this beauty, the woman who took it upon herself to make it a point that we know who we are, that we remember what we're capable of. We've got doctors in here, we've got businesswomen in here, we've got so much that even we sometimes forget the potential that we uphold as a black people. But this woman decided that she's going to take it out there to the world. Remind us that we are worthy. Remind us that we are a beautiful, beautiful people. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Boitumelo Petla.
Thank you to each and every one of you for being here, for taking time out to come and spend time with us today and with each other. I'm going to immediately start with the presentation, and I just first want to ask, is there anyone amongst you who experiences stress sometimes? Does it happen to any one of you? Is there anyone who experiences stress here? It's more like all the time. It's such a silly question, but it's just for me. I'm trying to just push to the topic for today, vitality health, which at the core, the main culprit of this is stress. And what I also realized with my practice is that for us as black people, most of the times we do not think we get stressed. We think stress is for white people. Black people are just stronger. You just think you are strong. No, it's a feta. Because we just use words like that. So that is the whole idea. We need to start embracing ourselves and knowing that we deserve the goodness. We deserve to start rewriting the books all over again now. We are human beings like anybody else. What the next body feels, the next body can feel too. So, but we need to be aware, because whatever you are not aware of, you cannot address. Life is our greatest teacher. We all have our fantasies of what success is, and there's a lot of media that is helping us to define what is success. But the funny thing is, the level or the standard that is being set for us and set as success, for some reason we cannot reach that, and we always feel inadequate. And that is exactly what causes the stress, because somebody has set a standard for you. Successful. And most of the things, it has to do with material things. Now, I call it a fantasy because it's not the ultimate success. But then at the same time, what is that success if you don't have your whole health? I just want to quickly share the holistic model as an overview of what we'll be going throughout the rest of the year. We are currently doing our second module, so to say. We already did sexual health in February Today we're doing Vitality Health. I'll suggest that you write this down because maybe you might just win something. But I'm joking. But then I want you to write it down because I want you to be aware of that all the time. Because the reason I would like us to write things down is that you can also share with other people. It's not that it must end today, end with you. Part of the transformation happens when one person knows something, you tell the next person, and then they see with your life, then they also transform. So on the holistic health model, I don't know, is there anybody who knows it already by heart? Really, I'll give them my book, a signed copy. Is there anybody who knows the whole model? It's 8 modules. Anyone? Are you gonna? Is there anyone? Oh, it's on the and people didn't even see it. It's on the year planner. The year planner has got all the 8, so it actually wouldn't be. I actually even forgot myself that you've got the year planner. It's got the whole 8 modules. Okay, that wouldn't be fair. So today, firstly, is Vitality Health, Self-Identity Health. Self-Identity Health just has to do with knowing yourself. Knowing yourself according to the one who created you. Sexual health, it was specifically about, what we define as love and sexual intimacy and all of that. The fourthly, there is reproductive health. Here we'll mostly focus on types of family planning, like before you're pregnant, what do you do as part of reproductive health so that you can fall pregnant? Regular checkups for men and women, and once you're pregnant, what do you need to be checking out for? So it's something that this is supposed to be informative, not just motivate, but they do not give you skills and things that you can use like practically. And then there's parenting health. Parenting health will purely be focusing on the your role as a parent, contrary to what the Tabang mentioned a bit about how we are so busy, but then somebody's spending more time with our kids more than ourselves. But we've got kids and we don't understand what is happening to our kids, and then we're surprised later. Then somebody or no blame somebody or no because blame, and if you can't find the answer for something, you have to blame something for you to be able to cope. And then there's contribution health, which is what we're doing in June. Contribution health will be focusing on people who are doing things for others, because when you do things for others, it's part of your health. Most of us only think really happiness is and success is only when you are fine, but that is not how it's supposed to be. Life is service. So if you cannot service other people, you will never be healthy. And then there's financial health. Financial health will kind of be going more into detail about what we define as success and what this whole success thing is taking from us, and how do we get a balance. And then there's home and household health, about creating an environment that is conducive for you to be able to be well rested, to be inspired, to go out into the world and be able to change what you do, because there's no point you go home, the environment is not conducive. When you wake up, you're worse off than when you left work to go and rest at home. So it's things like that we need to be looking at. The idea is not to master all of this, but at least we need to touch base on each and every one. So you mustn't choose one and say, I'm going to just master Vitality Health. All of it is important because that's how dynamic you are and that's how powerful you are. But then you are more powerful when you understand that you are powerful, and then you start working on it gradually. So now the whole thing of Vitality Health is also to firstly acknowledge that all of us have different roles. But at the end of the day, whatever that you're doing, you are serving people, you are helping people. There is nothing, even if you're making a machine, you are working with other people, or you're making the machine for people. So now because we're working with people, there's always going to be the issue of stress, because we are so different. Your perception and my perception are different, expectations are different. So that alone, that is exactly what is inducing stress in our lives. So now you need to be aware before whatever role that you are playing or the position that you have in life, whether you think it's big or small, which is something that you also need to kind of, break that whole distortion. Because everybody, whatever that you're doing, despite somebody saying it's small or they're saying you are doing something big, everything that you are doing is important, is significant. Because whatever you are doing, if you are not doing it, something will fall apart. So all of us are significant in what we do. So now before we can even achieve success in what we do, you need to take care of yourself first. There's no point that you are great before the world, but you've neglected yourself. you're not getting a certificate for that. So you take care of yourself, because when you take care of yourself, you produce results. And you don't even need people to approve of you, because you feel good about what you've done, because it's not about people. It's about the one who created you to come to this earth and serve and show his glory through what he's put in you. Did you know that these days, more than 75% of diseases that we are treating, they're actually stress related? More than 75% of disease today. And while we were still studying, we used to say there's a Western lifestyle. So which is more like, okay, it's for white people because they are Western, they eat certain food. But now we have, I don't know if we can say we've upgraded or downgraded, but we're having a Western lifestyle here on a daily basis. We're eating out, we're drinking, we are smoking, we don't nourish relationships, we're more lonely. You want to show somebody you're successful, so you must go. There's just so much pressure, but we've lost the basic things, just simple things of just having a relationship, just with other people, just eating simple things. We want to complicate everything because obviously it's the healthiest, but there's so much pressure around standards and what you afford. Pick and pay, where is your best meat, red meat, but that pressure, even when you're pushing that role, you want to show at the teaser, I'm sure unal position is because we think it's success, because you don't understand what is success. And they've just told us, really, the simpler the better. The simpler the better. So we need to be going back to we're not Western by origin, we're African by origin. We need to simplify things now, because as long as we're trying to be Western, unfortunately, because it's not in your nature, you'll never pass that one, because it's not what you were created to be. Be yourself and simplify it. So with that being said, it means these diseases that we're busy treating, that are complicating our lives, that are causing high medical cost and complicating relationships, they can be reversed, because they are caused by a lifestyle, not that you're really born with it. It's how you are living your life these days. Because the standard because we're not comfortable with ourselves yet. We're not really comfortable with this now, for this and that. So there's just that whole process that we need to be aware of. So now, with that being said, is that we can change our habits and routines and reverse disease or prevent disease. If you don't have it, you prevent it. If you already have it, you can reverse it. A simple thing like with diabetes. Yes, we can reverse diabetes just with a diet. It's possible. Especially type 2 diabetes. Type 2 is the one that you get when you're older, directly from lifestyle. There's type 1 that you get from when you're still young. That one is not reversible. You're gonna stay with it. But for type 2, which is very high on the agenda, it's reversible, but you need to be committed. But we can reverse that. So now we all experience stress, and the body fortunately does have coping mechanisms to maintain optimal function while we are going under stress. Because when you are being stressed, there's hormones that are being released, and the hormones disturb your normal function, but the body is created to be able to maintain equilibrium or balance in your with your function all the time, no matter where you're going through ups and lows. But now the stress state is not meant to last for long periods, but most of us are stressed every day, every single day, and you're not even aware you're stressed. But then you can imagine the damage that happens after 5-10 years. They tell you, okay, you've got this disease, you've got this disease, you've got this, and then they just keep accumulating, because first of all, you're not aware. Second of all, you don't know what to do, because you're not going to do anything because you're not aware. By the time it hits you, we're dealing with complications, admissions. It's difficult to reverse, but if you've got a chance to prevent disease, we have to prevent disease. So now the root cause of stress is a result of resisting change. It is failure to anticipate, meaning kind of to expect it, to know it can happen, or when the change happens, to accept it, or adapt. Once you know, then you adapt. So most of us, when we go through changes, you just refuse. You just refuse to accept it. It's like when somebody tells you, okay, I've changed my mind about 1, 2, 3, but you're like, no, but how can you do that to me? but how can you do it? I'm like, no, I've tried to do it. I'm not coping anymore. I think it's better if I change it so I can. Like, no, but you can't do that. I've already made plans for this. You're one stress out. Like, that's the average response that we do, and we think it's normal. But the thing is, we need to go to the ultimate level where first of all, that change is a guarantee. Things will always change. So already, if you know that, already you're far ahead, because by the time change happens, you're not sure. Because most of us, as old as we are, when things change, it's like you didn't know things change in life, and you're already, none of you is less than 25 at least here, but you get shocked every time. And what can change? Health can change. Your health status can change. Finances can change. Your body can change. Relationships, the status of relationship can change. Your hopes and dreams, and the environment. So all of that are real things that change every day, but for some reason we are shocked every time things change. It's like, but how can we always want to make it a personal thing, and you don't understand that as much as there's you, the other person has got themselves. Even in a relationship, we have different needs, but the thing is, how do you cushion that so that you still make everything work? Even at work, you find that you've got colleagues that have different expectations, they behave differently, but then you want them to behave in a certain way. When they change, they frustrate you. So how do we adapt to change? First of all, like we said, we have to accept. Can you write this down? It sounds silly, but it's amazing how we just it's like we don't know about it, or we can't embrace it or something. We have to be aware of the issue of change. How do we adapt? Because it's not a choice. You will adapt or die. That's what they say in the business world. You adapt or you die. So it's not like, no, I don't feel like dying and I don't feel like adapting. There are certain things in life, they don't give you options. It's like knowing that you will be born, you will die. Like, it's a guarantee. You can't say, no, but I don't feel like dying, I can just live forever. It's not up to you. There are certain things that are not up to you, but certain things that you can change, of course you should change. But change is something that you need to adapt to. It's not an option. So the first thing is accept that change will happen. Secondly, embrace change as a gift for you by adapting and positioning yourself. So embracing means you accept it, and you want to make it part of you, and you know it's for you, so to say. You don't resist it. Thirdly, renew your mind. When you renew your mind, you reconcile the old information with the real information. It's like when you met somebody 5 years ago, when you had the relationship, and initially, you had this fun, you had expectations, uncommunicated expectations, by the way, because when you go into relationships, you don't necessarily tell each other what you want out of each other. But it's not intentional. You just think, okay, all my dreams are going to come true. It's going to cover this, cover that. Lena is thinking, okay, all my dreams are going to come true. But then you didn't tell each other. But when you knew what you wanted out of the relationship. So those uncommunicated expectation is what causes frustration, because when something that you're expecting is not met, then you are frustrated. And the worst thing, you didn't tell the other person that why you're frustrated, or this is what is frustrating you. So now when you renew the old to the real thing, is that you forget the fantasies that you had at the beginning, because usually we have fantasies all the time. When you see your partner, you see them doing this and waking up in the morning, cleaning curtains, I don't know, whatever fantasy that you're having. Or for guys, usually just imagine gonna be having sex all the time. Finally, I've got someone now who's gonna be available for this duty. And for women expect different things. Finally, I've got somebody who's gonna be going with me to events. I've got somebody who's gonna be helping me with my bills. I've got somebody who's gonna be listening to me. So now it's different expectation, but we didn't talk about it. But then now, at the beginning, because remember, everybody's trying to be nice. You try to give each other what you think you want from each other. Then after a while, you realize that, you know what, I'm tired. I'm tired of trying to be what I'm not, or what I think she wants me to be or he wants me to be. But the wisdom of embracing change is that when you love somebody, you don't want to change them. You want to understand them, and then they must keep the original form, and then the same for you. Then you enhance each other. But we usually have a fantasy that, you know what, I don't like this, he will stop it. I'm giving him 3 months. Okay, stop. I can't get it. No, I say, no, I show me. Give me 3 months. Look. And then what happens after the 3 months, he's not changed. It's frustration because now you feel like you're a failure, you haven't achieved your target because you had a target. You didn't even tell the person you had a target. The same with men. You just think like, okay, this woman is cool, we're partying together. After, she doesn't want to party anymore. You have to be real, she doesn't want to party anymore now. Things have changed. Now she wants to do other things, but the gap is always when we lack communication, because then if we communicate, we can understand that, you know what, to be honest, I don't like that thing anymore. I actually don't like it when you talk like that. Like, I didn't know you didn't like it. Like, now, I've been tolerating it, but now I don't like it anymore. Because you get to that stage, but it's important to also get to that stage where you can be honest with your communication and say, you know what, I honestly want this thing to work, but I don't like 1, 2, 3. But I think this is what I can offer. Because as much as you don't like things, also offer options of what can you do. Because it's also not matured. When it's about you think you're a child. But again, the next one is actually reality checks. And Paul, I get to give us ma gona le ba ileng gore ba tseba linjo go feta nna ke linjo la Paulos. Or when I was young, I used to think like a child. Kana ba ringa ba feletse ke nyongore tswa ga botse. Can somebody just I feletse for him? The poets.
When I was a child, I thought like a child, but when I became a man, I thought like a man.
Yeah. Yes, something to that effect. Una le ba ruti ka mba homoji. So now that thing, I get normally sometimes when we hear the word of God, we don't translate it to practicality. We think it's for the church, it's for whatever, but the ultimate truth and the only truth that works is the word of God. Even any concept that works or a method that works, whatever scientific way that they did it, or whoever the most intelligent person did it, if you look in the Bible, the principle is already in the Bible. Nothing is new. God just allows us to express things in different ways. So the only thing that works and the only way that works is the word of God. So exactly this one, you need to get a reality check. We need to get reality check and snap out of most of the things, because most of us are in fantasy. As old as we are, we're still fantasizing about what we thought we wanted. Some of you already are in committed relationships, but you still want to go party with your friends like when you were still young. We need to get those reality checks. As a woman, you still want, you expect your man to be having the same sex drive like 10 years ago. It changes, it goes down. Not all the way down, but it does go down. So now we need to be having reality checks and be conscious and know what happens as life progresses and be real with the changes. Because if you're not real, that whole fantasy is what causes frustration in relationships. But you see, when you love somebody, you try to understand them. And you try to see what is your role in bringing the best out of that person compared to trying to change them to what your family wants from that person, what your friends want from, because we've got a lot of voices that are talking to us all the time, and we end up compromising even on quality things because of what somebody said. Like for your relationship is working. That's why don't compare relationships. You find that it's working for you, but somebody offer advice about your relationship, they're not even doing it. So that reality check is important, and I want to give you an example about this whole change thing. In 2012, I got an injury. It was what we call a freak accident, because I wasn't in any dangerous situation, but then suddenly I broke my knee. I love telling this story because, I mean, even for me, it has transformed and it had taken me to another level. So we went to a place, somewhere nice place. It was for team building for, the ladies that are helping us at our practice wanted to just, go through this team spirit thing. It's the right thing to do because people need to be revived. All of us get tired. We need this revival. And, life is good. It's even my husband's birthday. Life is just beautiful. Then they decided we're gonna do paintball. I don't know if some of you know paintball, that activity. But then I had a fantasy that I was in a movie, I think. Because, you're holding a gun, then you have to shoot each other with those balls, and then there's paint inside, they need to splash on you if they hit you. So I was actually shooting in reverse. I don't know why. So I was like, no, I'm going to fall. Let me just turn around. And as I was turning around, I don't know what happened. My one leg didn't want to move up. Then I twisted on my knee, fell on it, and then I suddenly felt excruciating pain. But I personally don't believe in medication, even though I'm a doctor. So I was like, this pain is quite strong. Then I told my husband, I'm not feeling good. Then it's like, then the pain started getting worse. I'm like, what's going on? But then eventually the ambulance came, went to the hospital. Then they told me I have a fracture of my knee. Just like that. It's not even like I was drunk, I fell, or somebody bumped me. I was fine, complying with what is good and all of that. Then I was like, what? So I'm gonna have an operation. I was freaked out. I know it's weird, but I was totally freaked out, and I couldn't imagine. I was scared of what if they put me to sleep and I don't wake up. That's what I was just thinking the whole time. So I was thinking, oh my God, what can I? But then I had to quickly snap out of it and remember that I know for sure that there is no amount of prayer or fasting that will work to fuse that bone. God has rules and regulations even about the body. It must be fixed. He's given people knowledge to fix that bone, and I've got responsibilities. I've got children, I've got a husband, I like looking good. So I'm thinking, if I don't do this, obviously I'm gonna have shortening of my legs. Then I'm gonna have to be limping everywhere. And I'm like, no, it's not gonna. So I had to kind of get a reality check and understand that, you know what, I have to comply. The same compliance that I'm advising everybody all the time. It's my turn. So I went through the operation. Already from day one, they were telling me I have to have physiotherapy, which I knew, but then I committed that I'm gonna do it anyway. You know, for a moment, I went through a moment where I felt like, but why me? I was at the time at the peak of my career, just at the second practice. I'm working the 2 practices. We're trying to build a house. I'm doing well. I'm doing my MBA. My kids are doing well. I've got, it's like everything is just going well. And then suddenly, I'm going to be booked off for 3 months. Just like that. And I don't even need anyone's permission because I'm working for myself. So I'm just going to be booked off. So I said, for the way that I understand God and life, I said, God, you know what is happening now. And then in your word, you say everything works together for good. I don't see the good now. But your word doesn't depend on me seeing it. I must just know it because that's what you said and it's final. And it's beyond any human comprehension, no matter how intelligent you are. I don't see the good in where I am because my life has just suddenly changed from 100 to kind of 0. But I know there's something in it for me. So I'm embracing the change. I'm accepting the change. And I said, whatever that you want me to discover in this situation, let me discover it. Just saying that, embracing that, because I could have said, what's about the other girl, plus Dr. Pedla. Maybe can on just something. I don't know blame man. Or go to the or no on just something one like a money when I'm pilate fro. Okay, now what's because I go to the what I so you can easily start blaming people easily when things don't go well, things change. But then if the wiser you become with life, you just know that nothing is up to one human being. Everything is in God's hands. And then I started seeing benefits because suddenly now I was officially booked off for 3 months. I could rest. I couldn't tell my husband that I'm going to take a break for a month because he'd be like, okay, what about the other project that we are busy with? So now I had an official license. I'm going to be home for 3 months. My knee's broken. There's nothing I can do. I just need to be taken care of now going forward. And the other nice thing I said, I finally stayed with my parents for two weeks because it was closer to my physiotherapist. Which, because, when you grow up with your parents, you get attached. When you get married, you're like, do I have to go? Because you're thinking of your parents. You're so used to that setup if you were used to it. So I got to spend time with my parents. But the ultimate thing, what that was in that for me was I had to learn that no matter how busy, how successful you can be, there's certain things that you cannot neglect. Because I realized that I had neglected my children. I was so busy. And according to the world, successful. But then you're neglecting your children, and what happens? They get away from you. You're a stranger for them. They know you by name. You are supposed to be a mother, but they do not have a connection with you. So that's what it did for me, and it gave me time to just reflect on life, what I want to do, the impact I want to have on the world, and all of that. So that's what happens when you embrace the change. When you accept it, you embrace it, you will get something. There's nothing that happens for nothing, but it's only victims that want to blame systems, people, this, that. But if you want to free yourself, quickly accept it, take your lesson out of it, and move along with it. So I'm going to share with you 10 tools to minimize stress. 10 tools. Please take this down. The first one is healthy relationships. Because it's important to know, as much as we're talking, but then what do you need to do? What is it that you need to check? Or what is it that you need to monitor? Healthy relationships, that's the first one. The second thing is nutrition. The third thing is exercise and massage. The fourth thing is sleep. The fifth thing, sex. Yes, I said it, sex. Number 6, quiet time. Number 7, proper planning. Number 8, purposefulness. Number 9, be aware of addictions. The last one, prevent and cure disease. Do I need to repeat any one of them? We are okay. Okay. Healthy relationships, they did touch on that. I'm not going to really go into it, but what I can say briefly is that healthy relationships are reciprocal relationships, meaning it's a give and take. So if you are just taking and not giving, that is not healthy. The same thing, if you're just giving and not getting anything, that is not healthy. So you need to be reviewing the status of relationships if they are balanced. And you know that whole thing of love, that love is actually a duty to a person. You need to have duty to somebody else. If you don't have duty to somebody, you don't really love them, because love is not words. Love is duty. Duty is service. And we need to really get a reality check of this, the fantasy of wanting people to be what we think we want, what according to what we saw on Generations or on a movie or something. Because in the movies, it's like you just see the guy wakes up in a certain way, he's always walking in a funky way, he's just romantic, and he can just say something nice anytime. In real life, it's not like that. So that's real life. So you need to just reconcile real life and the fantasy life, and don't expect things from people that you cannot deliver yourself. That's just a nice way of knowing if you are on the right track. Nutrition, they spoke about it, but what I would like to say is just to highlight, there's a difference between when you are eating to live and when you are living to eat. Something to think about. Are you eating to live, or you're just living to eat? And nutrition, according to God, the one who created this world, is supposed to be affordable. It's supposed to be accessible, and it's supposed to be practical. So most of what we're doing, all these complicated things, you want to do this and that, is just a man-made thing. Eating is supposed to be easy. Just your vegetables, already vegetables are cheap enough. You don't have to be adding this, some things you don't even know them, you never heard about them, but suddenly like, no, what's again? Salad the croutons. You're like, okay. And that's what sometimes discourages people from eating healthy. It just sounds expensive. It's not meant to be expensive. Already if you're cutting down meat, eating meat maybe twice a week, your costs are down. But when I pressure because it won't share status. So it's supposed to be simple. Cut down the amounts. Already you're cutting down on your cost just by controlling such things. And there's definitely benefits when you prepare your own meals, because when you're preparing your own meals, you control the nutrition in the food. You know exactly what you put in, how you cooked it, is it washed? Because somebody and today we live in mara se ihlatswa yona, and motho wa lapa ke So avoid mucha every day. I must just do it myself, because sometimes it gets to that. But there's actually a big benefit when you actually control your own destiny. Nutrition is part of your destiny. Exercise and massage, I've put them under one. In terms of exercise, clinically is proven that you don't need to be training like for long periods. We just need 30 minutes every day, minimum of 5 days a week. So if you are doing far more or far less is not necessary. So 30 minutes for 5 days is adequate. And then I definitely know that exercise is not for losing weight. Exercise is purely for flexibility, for tone and strength. That's what it's for. If in terms of being healthy, which losing weight is part of being healthy, it's about the food. It's about what we're putting in our mouths. That is the main thing. So if you can control what goes in your mouth, although you've done the job. Exercising to just tone your muscle and help with flexibility and strength. So now for both exercise and massage, the benefits like she's mentioned, they're really like that. There is a release of natural feel-good hormones with exercise and with massage. You'll notice that if you exercise, suddenly you feel good, you feel better. You might find that you're exhausted or you're down, but after exercising, suddenly you feel lighter and you feel like you're way better than when you went in. Definitely you sleep better when you exercise or after a massage, especially the deep tissue massage, because that one is as good as an exercise because you're working directly on the muscle. That happens through improved blood flow. Exercise and massage also increases improves your mood, and it also enhances your sex experience, because what happens is, as part of exercising with those hormones and all of that, you are better lubricated because of the blood flow. Lubrication is better. So just some tips, because sometimes as women, you you go to your doctor, or you notice that every time after you have sex, it's painful. It's painful here, or whether at the orifice, at the mouth of the vagina, or lower abdomen. So most of the time, the main problem is there's no lubrication. Lubrication is that wetness, which for some reason black people think you're not supposed to be wet. I get a lot of patients who come, and then the men will even come with the woman and say, no, because now I'm dealing with Zulu speaking. And for some reason they think when you're too wet somebody's cheating. I don't know why, and I keep on saying you should actually be proud of her that she's that wet. It means she feels like having sex with you, because when you don't feel like having sex with somebody, whether you are bored or you're exhausted or they've disappointed you or they've made you angry or whatever, what happens? You're just dry. And what happens with dryness, you can imagine scientifically, then something is just coming and you are dry, cutting through. And then that's why you're getting pain, is the dryness most of the time. Now, there's a reason for dryness, which is what you need to be asking yourself all the time. Why am I not in the mood for having sex? Because that's what causes pain. So now, already with exercise, we know that it can also help to improve lubrication. Definitely exercise and massage, they reduce pain, because most of you, I'm sure, if I were to take a questionnaire about pain, there's a lot of you who have headaches, you've got backaches, you've got what we call functional pain, like, when I do this I feel pain. Most of us have pain, as much as it's the jobs that we're doing, but it's just the stress that we're going through. So your muscles are most of the time in spasms. Sleep hygiene, sleep is very important, and also of course you mustn't abuse it. You find that you oversleep. Relatively good amount of hours for sleeping, 6 to 8 hours is really enough. So once you are sleeping more than 8, like you're a baby, or you sleep less than 6, both of them are not necessary, because when you sleep too long, you wake up exhausted. You've been sleeping for too long. And if you sleep less, you'll also see that you're not productive, generally speaking. As much as if with this financial success information, they say you must sleep less, sleep late, wake up early. And they say, no, the most successful people only sleep 3 hours, 4 hours a day. And then you feel like, hey, now I'm not adequate. I'm 6. So okay, we need to just correct that perception because we're getting so much information. But who is sending us this information and what does it actually achieve in our lives? And the pressure to succeed, we must be okay with gradual growth in life. Not today, tomorrow, muhumi, just like that. So it's just a part of that, you know, the sleep hygiene, 6 to 8 hours a day is important because during that time, the body has to recover and renew itself. So that tomorrow the demands that you put on it, it will be able to meet. Because over time, the body will not cope with the pressure. And then also note that the whole thing of having a good sleep hygiene is that we want to allow the body to release a hormone called melanin and then drop what we call cortisol is a stress hormone. It's supposed to drop during sleep and then melanin goes up. There's a lot of benefits to melanin, but like anti-cancer, the renewal of cells, detoxifying you, you know, all of that, those are benefits of sleeping. Sleeping is so important. It's so important. We mustn't undermine it. Okay, because now monna go fetcha pelo like ke bolela as a woman jwale. A go fetcha pelo re monna no hlela boroko. And ka mo bana ba bereka. Yena o robetše. But 8 hours ka moka ke monna mohutama. I get really we're ill informed. It's actually a good thing as long as mutually productive. 6 to 8 hours is still good. Again, and then the environment that you need to do is just some tips on creating the right environment if you are struggling with sleeping, because sometimes some people are struggling to fall asleep as part of a side effect from stress. Make sure that the room is dark. So from around 6 o'clock, start tapering down lights. The house must be as dark as possible, and then try to have some quietness, no gadgets. Already that one is in conflict with generations, as you know. There's generations, there's Movango, but those things are not adding value to actually our holistic health. We need to be during the night time because this melanin starts being released in our system from around 8 at night. But most of us at 8 were on our gadgets while watching Generation and having coffee. And now that's the peak time when you're supposed to be going into that mode of sleeping, because then your body is going to produce adequate melanin. So you can have a warm bath, be productive during the day, because if you're just lazy, you just feel worse, like you can't do nothing. Sex before bed helps. Good nutrition, no sugar or caffeine before bedtime. Exercising helps. The right partner definitely helps, because if you're sleeping next to the wrong person, the right partner is another element. And then avoid sharing the bed with children. Even though, you know, as women, sometimes we do use it. Those are today we're exhausted. But then, you know, it's just for control purposes. Just the child to be there. But in actual fact, when you are building a relationship, you must just face that person and deal with the responsibilities of the situation. The next one, quickly on sexual intercourse. As much as I know, most of you are, you know, quite matured people and you want to ignore this, but you know it's a reality. It's a reality. It's what brought us all here, and we're still we're bringing new lives on earth. And it's not only made for reproduction though. Sexual intercourse, like we've mentioned, it does help with relaxation and trust and psychological stability because of the hormones that are released during that interaction. So sex is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It only becomes a challenge if you are having it with the wrong person or the wrong time or the wrong place. Then there it becomes a problem. But if it's in the right mode, it actually helps the body. The body needs that. And be aware, as women, men are like engineered to have their sex machines, basically, if I can summarize it. Without offending men, but they are. They know. I always get such a positive response from men who come. The woman is pregnant. She's like, so the man is like, so doctor, is it safe to have sex? Because the woman told him that it's not safe to have sex during pregnancy. So doctor, is it safe to have sex during pregnancy? Girl, you know what? You should have as much as you can. The guy will be like suddenly the smile is ear to ear, because for them they want the sex, but the woman, because also remember you've got hormonal changes, you don't feel like. But then how do you compromise to comply with your partner's need, because it's your duty to serve your partner. As much as your needs are different from his, you want more attention, support, somebody to listen to you, and so we just have to exchange. Everything is a give and take. It's not only about one side. And for For those gentlemen, not you guys that are here, like if you know any guys that are masturbating, just know that naturally though, and scientifically it's proven that it's healthier and you get more bonding and feel good hormones when you actually have sex with a human being compared to contact with the hand. So rather just get somebody that you feel comfortable with. These are uncomfortable issues, guys, but you have somebody must tell you at some point, because that's the only way. Because because nobody is really talking about it. So you'll rather have sex with a real person than with a hand, so to say. Quiet time. In quiet time, this is what most of us like, because there's so much going on in our lives. There's social media, there's work, there's friends, there's a lot of things, there's TV. So, but we need to be quiet. At least give yourself 30 minutes every day, where there's no TV, there's no gadget, nobody's talking, there's no music, there's nothing. And then whether you're reading your Bible or you're meditating, but do something that will help you to center yourself. Because when you're alone, it's amazing that you're going to hear things that nobody else will tell you about yourself. Because God can talk to you. Or let's say you can hear what God says about you, contrary to what you are hearing, all the adverts all around us. Proper planning. This one is just mainly to say that, an unplanned life is very stressful. If you didn't plan your day, it's so stressful, and you realize with the experience that you're doing something that suddenly something has changed. You have to go there. It's so frustrating. But when you plan, okay, from this time this is what I'm doing. From this time you just have control, because every time you are stressed, your body releases stress hormones. So your cortisol levels are always up, and they cause damage to your body. So part of cutting down on those stress hormones is to try to plan everything. Don't just plan an event. Plan your day. Plan how you want your kids to turn out. Plan how you want your relationship to turn out. Plan how you want your food to be prepared. Plan each and everything. When are you going to have sex? When is your quiet time? All the things that we're talking about, everything must be planned. Purposefulness. With this one, I just want to say that, we like I already mentioned it, but definitely we become sick when we are self-indulged. And most of us are in that mode where you're just worried about yourself and what people are doing to you, but it just makes you more sick. And you'll see that the minute you snap out of it and you do something for somebody, or wherever you're working, you start working hard or focusing or going the extra mile or being excellent in what you're doing, suddenly you feel better. Because you do not feel good when you just take care of yourself. Most of us think that's what we need, but you see after time that it doesn't inspire you, and unless you also do things for other people and you do them well. The other important thing under purposefulness is to what we're doing now. Continue to improve and develop your skills and knowledge. You will never be successful enough or know enough or have achieved enough. And you don't need to register like for a big course. Just attend seminars, invest in yourself. Go to places where they're talking about an area that you think you still need to be nourished on. And if you want to improve on your qualifications, of course, you can also register, but it adds value to your life. Be aware of addictions. And how do we define addictions? How do you know something is an addiction? If you do not have control over the thing, it's an addiction, meaning you don't feel like doing it, but you are forced to do it. You don't have control, then it's an addiction. It compromises you with consequences that are not favorable, then that is an addiction. So what can be addictive? Social media is addictive, because even when you're supposed to listen to your partner, the hand keeps on pressing. Like you can hear them, but the hand is moving on the other side, because you're not controlling yourself anymore. Social media, shopping, drinks, whatever drinks that I'm sure all of us will figure it out. Drinks, food, sex, all those things can be smoking, obviously nicotine. They can be addictions, but the whole thing about addiction is not the real problem. Try to see what is it that is forcing you to be addicted to this. There's something internal that is frustrating you. You need to try to find what that is. Preventing and curing disease. Do annual checkups. Most of us know what you need to check, but you always think, but I'm fine. I feel good. And then until one day suddenly they give you a diagnosis that you're not expecting. And your life will never be the same. So if you have a chance to prevent something, just do it. It's for your own good. And then maintaining a holistic health. As I've mentioned, these whole areas, if you can always be trying to look around you and seeing what can I improve on, what do I need to improve on, it helps a lot. And you can be a living example to many people around you. With myself, after I got injured, after breaking my knee, I gained weight. like a lot of weight, a lot. And then I kept on saying, no, it's the knee. I can't exercise anymore. Until one day I said, you know what, I have to be honest with myself. I'm overweight, it's wrong, it's my responsibility. And worst thing for me is I can't tell patients about being overweight because now they are attacking me. A patient will come in and say, yo, dokotela, umoshekile amalanga ne? I mean, you know, some patients can be so rude though, but then I'm happy for that because it challenged me to challenge myself. I had to hear it from somebody saying, you don't look good anymore. You are not the person that we knew. And I must say, since I started last year, I changed the eating, not the exercising, the eating. I'm 23 kilos down. Hand of applause, please. No, it's a great achievement because already you can imagine the complication. I already have an operation. If I continue with the weight, it weighs down on me. So that's why the minute you lose weight, you'll see most of the things that are bothering you, they're going to go away. The back aches, you just get a pain out of the blue, lightning pain, like, yo, where is this coming from? Then the next thing is here, you just get sicker and sicker and sicker. But when you get the weight off, because remember your body's going to reach an equilibrium now, it will be able to manage it. You won't need to see a doctor often, because you have actually prevented the disease. I don't know if you know, South Africa is not doing well in terms of, you know, the disease profile. We have a quadruple burden of disease compared to most countries which have 2. We have 4 burdens of disease, and they're all lifestyle diseases. So that's why it's a serious thing that if we were to preserve us and our generations to come, we have to start changing. And you know, living healthy is for white people. Those days are gone. We're acting white already. So we better comply and take care of our bodies. So, you know, just some of the diseases that you are directly associated with, it's not all of them, some of them. Chronic fatigue, if you're always tired, you're always tired. No matter what you do, you just feel tired. You must be concerned. Depression, please read up about this disease just so that you know if you qualify for this, so that you can get help. Functional pain, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterols, and those type of things. So now, when we can stop blaming things and people for not being where or what we're supposed to be, suddenly life begins. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's all from my side.